Thanks, Eric. Right, let's get market reaction from Marshall Gittler. Marshall is head of global FX strategy for IronFX Financial Services. He's joined us now from Limassol in Cyprus, another country, of course, which had some serious issues too. Well, what lessons can we learn from what happened in Cyprus, and how can they apply to what's going on in Greece? And, well, let's start with that.
Well, I think one of the main similarity between the two is the problems that we've had with the banks. But the problem in Greece is much, much bigger than was in Cyprus. And the closure of the banks, I think, is hitting people much harder. We never had a situation here where you could only take 60 euros out. I think the other lesson, though, is that Cyprus did undergo a program and has come out of it fairly well. And life is getting back to normal now after 2 years. So the other lesson is that there is light at the end of the tunnel if people want to enter the tunnel, which they don't seem to want to.
Well, absolutely. Why would you? Marshall, what about market reaction ahead? I mean, we're expecting loads more volatility, I guess, as the whole Euro project again gets thrown up into the air.
Well, yes, I'm very surprised to see euro-dollar down just so little, 110. It hasn't even reached any of the major support lines yet. I think that may be because people don't know what to do. Maybe people are waiting to see what the reaction of the politicians is. I think the markets haven't really believed that Greece would leave the euro. And so the people aren't really getting that as excited or as worried as they might be. If people really think that we're on our way to Grexit, then I think we'd have a different story.
So you don't believe that's going to happen. So what about in the weeks ahead? Are we going to see the same back and forth, endless rounds of discussions taking place and people fixated on that before we get a resolution? Or do you think this will chivvy up these people?
Well, actually, it hasn't been widely reported, but the finance minister, Mr. Varoufakis, actually said on Friday that they already had an agreement ready to go, that then they were very near to signing it, which was quite remarkable. I think that obviously the Prime Minister will be on a plane tomorrow and to somewhere, and will try and start negotiating. I suspect they'll let him hang out to dry for a while, that the ECB will just keep the liquidity steady. They probably won't withdraw the money, but I don't think they're going to increase it either after this vote. And they'll let people start worrying about a bit more before they really get down to some serious negotiations. They only have 2 weeks, though, because if things aren't finished by July 20th, then really that is the deadline.
Yeah, July 20th, that big payment due there to the ECB. What about, many people have come out, many financial institutions, talking about 75% chance of a Grexit taking place. Market reaction would assume that that's not going to happen. What's your view?
Yes. Well, yes, I think the market is assuming it won't happen. But I think if they don't increase the liquidity, which frankly I don't expect them to, then pretty soon the government is going to have to start issuing scrip or doing something to pay its bills, because it just can't get euros right now. And once people see that, and that's going to be the basis of an alternative currency eventually, I think that will really focus people's minds. And because I don't think the Greek voters thought they were voting to leave the Eurozone. If Tsipras had intended to vote to get a mandate to leave the Eurozone, he would have put that on the referendum. He didn't, because he doesn't want to. And I don't think the Greek people want him to. I've seen polls that said 80% don't want him to leave the Eurozone. But I think they'll just let them twist in the wind for a little bit and realize what would happen if they had to leave the Eurozone. Then I hope they'll come to a conclusion a little faster.
Thanks for that, Marshall. Marshall Gittler there from Limassol there in Cyprus. There's loads more coverage of Greece's historic vote on the way, finding out what's next, finding out the market reaction.